same day that I found out that he wasn't going to be a new host anymore.
Me too. I found this out like this morning, and it's funny. It's a little annoying to me, but it ultimately is funny. So yeah, I have I don't know if I can pull this up right now. You still see me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So this is from BBC. Jeopardy host Mike Richards quits after sexist comments surface.
Freudian slip there.
A little bit. So basically what happened is that he had a podcast trying to, where the hell was it? I don't know. It doesn't really matter what the name of it was, but apparently in 2013, 2014, he had a podcast and made some sexist comments and like some derogatory statements about like women, and made some jokes about Jewish and Asian people. And not that we've done that, not that we would do that, but it does kind of like implant the thought in the brain of like, man, we got a podcast and we're both like trying to be funny people and say, sometimes borderline offensive shit, but like try, all for the purpose of, making a punchline out of it and not being actually offensive. But like, I don't think you or I have a very good chance of ever being the host of Jeopardy is all I'm saying.
Well, that's actually where I was going to go. See, here's the problem. Like, this is why comedians and people who like are independent creators, let's put it that way, can get away with like so much more. You can even say this about like musicians, why they can have so much more controversy, but you still like can't get them out of culture because like they are self-supported. They're not relying on like a company to hire them so much. It comes down to like, how many fans can you amass, and are your fans going to love you more than the people that hate you? And if you have more people that love you than hate you, you can still make a career, So like where this guy fucked up was if he ever had the idea that he wanted to be a TV personality or something, he should have never had a podcast. Now, this was like 2 years before Me Too, but like he fucked up when he tried to cross those two worlds. Like we kind of, by having our podcast be the way that it is, are saying like, yeah, we are discounting ourselves from anything serious, really, because this is all on the record, that people can go, and it could be held against us. But luckily for you and I don't think that that's really the direction, like you're saying, that we're headed. So I think we're going to be just fine. We kind of can say what we want.
Oh yeah. And like, I'm not worried, but you and I, we're dickheads, but we're not dickheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but the way things are, man, I heard this shit, the most ridiculous fucking thing the other day. This is where I realized that shit just truly has went too far. There's like this little 5-minute spot that comes up on NPR. I forget what show it was on. And this girl is like, next time you want to have a curry, remember, there's not even a real dish in India that's called curry. There's all sorts of different things. And that's just you trying to Americanize the food. And so it's really offensive. And you're not respecting the cuisine of my people when you just say, I want to have a curry. This was really a point somebody was trying to fucking make.
Curry was invented by Indian immigrants to the UK. It's still like, it's based on actual native dishes. Like, no one's.
Well, her point is just saying that like people generalize all Indian food as curry instead of respecting that there's different types of Indian food, and that this is really offensive. I'm like, you should have been in America or alive, because she's probably in her like 20s. Like, let's take you back to cuisine in the 1990s before like the borders and we started getting all these different foods from China and the world really globalized. And we were all eating tuna casserole, hot dishes and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So like let's fucking calm down on this,
Yeah, don't shit on people for having like an elaborate palate, man. Like, this is like, especially for guys who are, you're older than me, but still like, I didn't even have Taco Bell until I was 16 because my family just didn't do that kind of thing. So it's like, as soon as I knew that, there's food from other places that aren't just like fucking, meat, potatoes, and gravy. Great. Like, let me explore this. Don't shit on me for that.
And I'm definitely like, speaking from, my own personally, obviously in the Midwest, being a white person, that's what you're going to eat. And it wasn't like, yeah, if we grew up in, let's say, like San Francisco, where there's like a large, like Asian population, I'm sure that there's all sorts of great grocery stores. You could go to Chinatown, you can get all these like different sorts of like ethnic foods. But that's the point of it too, is like, yeah, not everybody has the like same experience. You should just be happy that we even know what the fuck curry is at this point. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Like our world, our food has expanded so much since like 2000. Like really, it's crazy. I'd actually even heard a cooking show again on NPR, but this was a few months back, and this guy went to his parents' house, and he's a chef. I don't know if it's I can't recall the name, but I don't know if it's anybody that anybody would really know anyways. And he went back and they pulled out a recipe that his mom used to make like all the time in the 70s. And they were talking about how it had soy sauce in it. And in the 70s, how soy sauce was this big exotic thing. Like, holy shit, right. Where do you get fucking soy sauce from?
I go to Chinatown to get some soy sauce.
Fly to San Francisco or something. So, yeah, it's just a lot to remember with the way things like evolve. And I think that's like definitely something where a lot of the kids who have grown up like with internet in their lives the whole time are probably a lot more informed than a lot of the adults, but like because they've had all this information since they're kids. So yeah, like I'm not going to disagree. A lot of these kids probably are smarter about a lot of things, but they also don't have the context of like of what it felt like to like be before that. And before we had all this knowledge, it's like people really need to remember that we weren't always attached to boxes that held all the answers 24/7. You used to actually have to like internalize something and get good at a craft,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, cultural exploration, as far as like, at least in the Midwest, as we both grew up in, like that is still a fairly new phenomenon. Like we didn't have that. We didn't have the access to, like, there wasn't just a Thai restaurant around the corner. Like that wasn't a thing 20 years ago. That did not exist. And now it's here. And like, so don't get mad if like, of course people should, respect culture and all that. But if I'm just excited to try a new thing, I'm just using myself as an example, but like, don't get down on that because like I didn't know this existed until a couple of years ago, because I didn't know. Like I just didn't know. Like it's cool. I like it. Like let me try it.
So I don't have all the intricacies down of how to actually call these things and everything perfect. But like I like it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I like your food, but I don't know how to say all the words or I don't know what all the terms are. Yes. Yeah. Sorry about that. So I don't know how we got on, but it's just something that was
Shame on us. Shame on us for liking something. God damn it!
I just couldn't believe that was really like. So I'm like, that sounds like some shit I would come up with for our podcast to like be funny about people like bitching about stuff like that. Right. That's something that deserves real airtime on NPR of like, oh, respect my fucking culture. Stop calling our food curry. Are you kidding me right now? Don't we got anything better to do?
No one does. That's the whole point.
Well, it's like with fucking Afghanistan. Everybody's like, he fucked up. Nobody says how things could have went better, but everybody's just like, oh, Joe Biden fucked up. Everybody's fucking Monday morning quarterback in this shit. Like, oh, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. And you know what? He did fuck up, and it looks pretty bad. I'm not trying to stick up for her, but all I'm saying is, like, what the fuck would you do? Could somebody please that wants to, like, criticize shit come up with, like, what they want to fucking do instead of just going, like, oh, that was bad. Look at how bad that was, And it's like the Afghani president fled the country within 2 hours. If he's not sticking around, what the fuck are we supposed to do?
Right. Like, our honestly, not to sound too... what's the word for it? Where like you don't interfere with other people's affairs on like a foreign policy standard. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure if I can think of a word. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know if I can think of the word. Yeah.
But like, I don't necessarily think we shouldn't help other countries, but all the same, I mean, we already know we're in a forever war.
Yeah.
And we've been in Afghanistan for 20 years now. Like, how long are we supposed to be there to keep everything from falling apart immediately when we leave? Like,
Right,
how long
right.
are we supposed to be there?
And the thing is like, I mean, there's so many things that obviously you and I aren't like qualified to talk about over like the years and years, but I've heard a few people talking about like, oh, we had a deal in 2005 that could have happened. We had a deal that could have happened in 2010, or like in 2002, they had told George Bush, like, you cannot let the Taliban like regroup in the rural areas and like have a strong, you have to make sure if you're going to get rid of them that you got to get rid of them. So there's like just all these people talking about how long of a history it is. And like I say, like, you know, I don't want to go into any of that, like acting like we really, again, you know, have the answers or whatever, because like no one really does. But
I don't think anyone tunes into this show thinking we have all the answers.
well, that I'm not saying that they tune in that way. I don't want to come across sounding as if I do, is what I'm trying to say here. Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to sound that way. That is the point. You know, there's just all these people. This could have happened. This could have happened. This could have happened. But what I think is the thing that we have to remember is, like, while shit has fallen apart right now, what has happened over the last 20 years is all these people got educated and got a taste of freedom. And like the dudes and the men and the women who are in their like 20s right now have grown up almost exclusively in this environment that has had more freedom, you know. And if the Taliban wants to come in and just think they can revert back to the 90s and put everything back to the way that was, when you have this whole young population that's not going to fucking accept that and is going to now have a taste for freedom, like, they have to put up like culturally with that. You just can't take away people's taste of a little bit better life and getting education and having, you know, and all these women, you know, they're sleeping with the dudes, and like, you know, the guys want to get laid, so they're not going to the girl's like, no, you need to respect me now. You just can't fucking do this. They're going to go, oh shit, I guess I do need to respect her.
That is a really interesting point that you bring up that I never really thought about, that it has been long enough where there are so many people who are like 20 years old now that grew up with at least a more liberated, I don't want to say liberated, but more liberated.
And there was war going on that whole time. So obviously that's traumatic to grow up. But as far as education goes and everybody being able to work and not having your hands cut off for theft or being executed for your freedom of the press and stuff like that, you know? And one other thing is, I think it's really, really ignorant of us as we see all these changes happening in America regarding our own policies towards our own people and how little equality there truly is here, but how much we've grown in the 90s. I think it's pretty dumb to like look at another country and go, oh, you're just going to go back to the 90s. Well, we just elected a president 6 years ago who took us back to the 60s. And I don't mean the 1960s. I mean the 1860s. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's like cool it on our judgment about that too. Like, places progress and grow, even just fucking, you know, or yeah. We also, you know what I'm saying? We really don't have a lot to stand on here is the overall.
Sure. But no, you're not wrong though, that even if politicians and policies change, people don't change. Like, there are still the people there that aren't going to just follow exactly what the government says immediately. Like, oh, it's a Democratic president now, so everyone's a Democrat, or vice versa. That doesn't happen. People are still individuals.
Right. And as hard as the Taliban's going to try to take away that individuality, back to the point that got us here is I believe with all this time that things have changed and people have, like, again, you know, gotten a little bit of taste of a different life that wasn't so oppressive. It's going to be hard. It's a lot harder to take away freedoms than it is, you know, for just people to have never had them, you know, and right. Things like that. So we'll see. But I definitely think it's we can't just get so hopped up like, oh, look at how bad these 3 days were. It was going to be bad. I don't think any president, it was going to look, you know, all that pretty.
It was never going to look good.
Yeah. So now we solved that issue. On to the next one.